Good afternoon, sports fans. Jeff Dawson here, your host, East Coast Sports Investors, the Breakfast Bankroll Sports Midday Market Report, July 1st. Amazing how the time has flown here. Today, we're going to have a great show. We're going to break down the market first, and we have a special guest, Andrew McGinnis of Wager Talk. We're going to be talking some sports services, and a lot of Montreal Canadiens and Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup action as the Lightning prevailed last night 3-1 and now lead the series 2-0 as they head to Montreal for games 3 and 4. So without further ado, let's show you some numbers from yesterday, if we could. Favorites 8-7, overs 9-6. Some big dogs at cash. Marlins plus 200, Mariners plus 218, Baltimore plus 255, and the Tigers get the sweep against the Indians at plus 166 and plus 129. So a dog world again out there. I imagine a lot of parlays crashed and burned end up as beer coasters. Confetti at your local sports casinos. The market today, very interesting from overnight till this morning and where we stand right now. I wanted to bring up a couple games to give you guys what we're seeing right now. And the one that jumped off the page for us this morning was the Padres and Cincinnati. 7:10 first pitch, rotation number 907 and 908, Weathers versus Castillo. And I want to show you what we saw last night and what we're seeing right now. Pull that up here. San Diego opened up minus 120. Receiving 63% of the bets and only 42% of the money. Yet you're going to see right here with the Reds that they opened up plus 100, now minus 115, only 37% of the bets and 58% of the money. So some heavy, sharp action came in overnight on the Reds and Castillo. He's really turned it around, and you fantasy players will know that. And I think you drafted him early to mid third, maybe fourth round, and he was just a puddle early this year. He's gotten it back together, and we've actually cashed here at ECSI his last two starts. What I do suggest here, if you're willing to back Cincinnati minus the 115 in Castillo, take a look at the first five. You don't have to worry about that back end. If you got full confidence in their back end, you can go full game and lay the minus 115. But Cincinnati Reds with Castillo, definitely a play that ECSI is eyeing. 6:05 first pitch, rotation number 901 and 902. The Marlins at Philadelphia with Eflin. Here we saw Philly opened up minus 129, currently minus 121. Basically dead even on the bets. We got a 51-49% split here, slightly in Miami. And we're also seeing 60% of the money coming in on the Marlins and only 40%. So we're seeing basically some sharper, heavier money rolling in on the Marlins right now. They did go from plus 108 to plus 110. The Phillies minus 129, now currently minus 121. So we're keeping a heavy eye there. As everyone knows here, when we invest and wager on the Phillies, we strongly urge you to use the first five. We do not trust that back end as far as we can throw it. So keep an eye on that one. 8:40 first pitch, rotation number 911, 912, St. Louis at Colorado, Wainwright versus Senzatella. And right here we see St. Louis opened up minus 130, currently minus 124. And again, the Rockies opened up plus 110, currently plus 112. 60% of the bets have rolled in on St. Louis right now, but only 30% of the money. So the 70%, the sharper, heavier money right now coming in on the Rockies, who opened at plus 110 and currently at plus 112. So keep an eye there on the Rockies game as well. Yankees already been postponed. That was Canning versus Montgomery. What a meltdown for Chapman or Aldis and the Yankees last night, giving up a touchdown and extra point, and everyone back in the Yankees money line and run line. Crushing bad beat there. So that is off. There is some day baseball game currently. Blue Jays and Seattle. Kikuchi versus Ryu. Toronto opened up minus 210, currently at 187. We're showing a little reverse line movement currently on Seattle. Red Sox, 110 first pitch. Bubik versus Evaldi. Sox opened up at 235, currently at 240. They are red hot right now. Do note, though, Barnes pitched 3 days in a row, so I don't think he will be available today there. A 210 start. Good pitching matchup. Minnesota at the White Sox. Berrios versus Rondon. And just Minnesota is just butt ugly. That's what I can say. They are just eating up money. They hit our system, it seems, almost every day, and they can't win. And the White Sox own them right now. Rondon opens up minus 135, currently at minus 143. Again, another huge public play here on the White Sox, looking to get another sweep against the Twins. And then at 337, Texas at Oakland, Dunning versus Manaea. Oakland opened up at 168 and currently at 168, and all the tickets and all the money currently on Oakland. So showing a line freeze there on the Rangers and Dunning. Dunning's been actually pretty good for Texas of late. So we're going to keep an eye on Texas. So that's the big board as we speak right now. Tonight we have the Bucks. The Bucks right now, Giannis is doubtful. So at 8:30, we first is the tip-off, rotation number 541, 542. Bucks opened up minus 2.5, currently 3 at Westgate and Circa right now. On the spread, 47% of the bets coming in the Bucks, but 71% of the money is rolling in on Milwaukee as well. Again, don't expect, let's just double check there. Do not expect Giannis to play. Let me make sure. Young is questionable and Giannis is doubtful. And that is the midday market report. And with that, let's bring our guest in. Andrew McGinnis, Wager Talk. We're going to be talking some sports. We're going to be talking how we got involved with Wager Talk, and a lot of this will be coming down to his thoughts on Montreal, the first 2 games, and what he thinks for the weekend.
How are we?
Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. I apologize. Technology doing its work at its finest, but it's great to be here with you.
Oh, we're blessed and honored to have you, Andrew. A big fan. Been following you for a while. Enjoy everything about what you do, your passion, your desire, and it's great to see the enthusiasm. There's so many people on social media right now that are just throwing picks up into the wind, hope it sticks, and then if they go on a bad run, they just change their name and number, and there's no face, there's no substance, and we applaud you here at ECSI for your work.
I really appreciate it a lot. It means a lot to me. And, what you said at the end there is so true because, you can go through such a hot streak and then you go through such a cold streak and you can kind of really see who the people that are going to be honest are, because if you look on Twitter right now, everyone's hitting 100%, it seems, So we're all here to make some money and we're all here trying to, beat the betting markets. But every day is not going to be a winning day, unfortunately. The best thing we can do is get up every day and get back to the drawing boards, do more research, and try and meet more people like you. So good to be here.
All right. So before we get to the meat and potatoes here, let's talk about yourself growing up. You're in Canada. How you got involved in the sports, where the passion came for the sports wagering, and your started Wager Talk, and your vision and where you plan to be moving forward.
So I won't go too far back, but pretty much my whole life, I always loved sports. I played sports, and I loved talking sports, though. Like, I always had an interest in sports broadcasting. I wanted to be a sports radio host. I wanted to be, the ESPN type of guy at TSN here in Canada, right? That was my dream. And so I ended up going to school for radio and television after high school. And I realized, I was like, you know what? This is journalism school. I want like sports broadcasting. So it didn't work out. I kind of lost my passion for it. And then I started to do play-by-play, color commentary, and in-house announcing for local colleges. And that's when I kind of rediscovered the passion again. I was like, man, I'm getting paid right now to talk about this game going on in front of me, and to discuss what's going on and interview these players. And, just like yourself, when you're doing a show, you're not doing it because you have to. I mean, it's for you enjoy it. This is something that we do. You're obviously we're all trying to make a living, but we do these types of things because we love it. And, I remember there was one tournament that it really kind of stuck out to me. I think I did 8 games in 2 days, and I could barely even talk. I mean, my voice was gone. And I remember it was a huge tournament, and the athletic director of the school came up to me and said, just make sure you save your voice for when the home team plays. And he gave me a good smile, and it brings the passion level, right? So anyway, I always, tried to learn social media marketing, and I'm a younger guy, always on social media and stuff like that. So I flipped up a Twitter account, which is the one you can find me at, McGinnis Picks. And I just said, I want to network with people that are doing this professionally. I didn't realize that sports betting was a professional career, and you could make a living, not just, betting and giving out picks, but also discussing the picks and predictions, because sports is a whole new ball game from just talking about the games versus talking about it from the betting odds standpoint. Nothing makes me more mad than when someone tells me their picks and it's like a minus 300, but they have no idea what the odds are. It's a lot more complicated than that. So I started that Twitter account up and started to network with different people. I started up with Sportsbook Review, SBR. I was doing a few videos a week with them. All of a sudden, we started a show called The Ice Guys. When that show got started up, we were going 3 times a week for an hour, breaking down the biggest hockey slates of the week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Shortly after that, made my move over to Sports Memo, and here I am on Wager Talk, and it's been a blast ever since. Wager Talk is outstanding. They treat their employees and everybody so great. Everyone's just, I know a lot of them, very friendly, and the website runs very well, and just been a blast ever since, doing content, hosting a hockey show, and, doing a lot of writing. So I really enjoy it. And in the future, to answer your question, not to run too long here, but in future, I guess my answer to you, honestly, is I want to just continue to build my brand, but I'd love to do something like what you're doing. I host a hockey show with Wager Talk right now, and I want to continue to host more shows. My 24th birthday is on Tuesday. Everybody is shocked about my age. And I when I first started with this, I didn't want to tell anybody how young I was. It was something that I hid from people. But now that I've kind of developed more of a following, I don't really hide from it. It's just who I am. So, as the years progress, I want to continue to develop my brand and can start doing more shows and travel more. I love where I'm from, Jeff, but the fact of the matter is nobody knows where Halifax, Canada is. And there's not a lot of people out here for me to network with. So if I want to stay and live here, I have to start traveling more and network. But that's my story.
When you come down to breaking down your picks, here at ECSI, we follow about 50 sports books. We're a numbers guy. We use Don Best. We use Sports Insights. We do a lot of reverse line movement, follow ticket counts, the whole 9 yards. For yourself, what do you do? What's your criteria when you're coming up with some of your picks? I read your write-ups. Your write-ups, phenomenal. You take pride in what you're doing. So for everyone watching here, give them an insight on how you break down a game or how you come across your picks.
Well, I always say, and first of all, I appreciate the kind words. I always say that these guys are humans just like us. These athletes, what I learned from my short time doing a little bit of media work and film and interviewing players is that it's not rocket science to realize these guys are humans just like us. And the reason why I say that is because there's going to be situational spots, and it's a very common, term used in the handicapping business, but there's going to be spots where the best team in the league is going to just flat out not show up. And you see it in football quite a bit, especially college football. If they know they have a big game coming up in 2 weeks, or they're just coming off a big game, they might win their next game, but they might not cover that point spread, and the game might not fire those players up as much. And you talk about the simple category of home and road. How does a team play on the road first game? How do they play on their last game? How does this team play in their first game back at home? I look at that stuff and like kind of the real life, personal life type of stuff a lot more than I think other people might do. I mean, I know a handicapper that bets golf that literally fades golfers after they've had their firstborn child. I mean, that's something kind of funny right there. But, I look at the numbers. Absolutely. I'd say a lot of the time I'm a what have you done for me lately type of handicapper. I always find it ridiculous seeing these trends date back to like before I was even on this earth, because the teams were way different. The coaches are way different. It doesn't really add up. So especially in baseball right now, you have to look at it from their last 4 or 5 games. And for pitchers, I'm looking at their last 2 to 3 starts, because a pitcher can change their form in an instant. And you don't want to be fading a guy that you've always faded, the past few years, and all of a sudden he's in good form and you just didn't realize it.
Yeah, it's so funny you talk about those trends. I like to say here the water cooler games. I talk about ESPN, I talk about Fox, and I call them the entertainers, where we try to be the educators. And so when you got the crawl like that we have right now, and you're at your desk and you're watching Sports Center, and you see that the Red Sox are 9-1 after a loss by 3 or more runs when they travel on a Wednesday and they're playing a day game on Thursday. Okay. So everyone sees that it's a carrot. They need a reason to bet the game. So everyone starts talking about it. They're like, did you just see that? And then, of course, you go bet the Red Sox. The Red Sox lose. And I just say to everyone and the general public, the degens of the world, where was that the first 9 times? They don't show you that, Yeah. And 9 out of 10 times that game will lose. So that's the comical end. And you're right. And everyone has the certain pitcher that burns them, the certain hitter. Whit Merrifield, Trey Turner. When I need them, they're nowhere to be found. When I'm against them, there goes Whit with another homer. They call him, 2-hit Whit. Well, when I go against the Royals, he's 4 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 5 stolen bases. So,
I'm with you right now on the Royals. I'll tell you, I took them on the money line. If this is like last week, then I took their over in the next game. They scored the combined like 3 runs in both games. The next 2 games, they go over in both and win 1. It's just a day late, dollar short.
And our kryptonite all year has been the Twins. They seem to hit our system every day, and it's just like a money pit. Throwing the coupons. It's just like, and I just put them in the DNP do not play list. The Braves are the same way. Every time we have the Braves, they get shut out. They get 1 run. I said a funny little joke. Next time we release the Braves, we're going to bet their team total under. So at least we can secure at least a 50-50 split there. All right. So the meat and potatoes here. Because we could talk forever what we're going on right now. But I want to talk to you. I'm a Bruins fan. Okay. And now I will say this. We are 6.5 years in public service with East Coast sports investors. My first wager was 1975 Red Sox versus the Reds in the World Series. I was in 5th grade. I did lose my first bet, and the rest is history. But I have like 40 years of wanting to understand how Vegas comes up with the numbers. Running through high school, I was the guy handing out the football cards. In college, I was the guy leading you to the guy to place the wager. Now today, there's so much out there. There's so much technology. There's so many websites, so many shows that it's just flooded and inundated. Okay. So I bring you to the Bruins. I grew up with Bobby Orr, Ray Bork. Uh, uh, but since being in this business, I left my heart at the door every day. I'm not a Patriots and Bill we trust, Tom Brady guy, meaning they won all those championships. And I can tell you this, I probably was against them 70% of the time because they favored every game. So we don't bet the favorites. But the shit that you are getting on social media because of the Montreal Canadiens, I think the greatest story of the season so far. Okay. You get into the playoffs down 3-1 to Toronto. You win the next three there. Then you go into the Jets, underdogs in that series. You sweep them, and then here comes Vegas. And no one in the world, there's no way you're beating Vegas. We all know that. And I sent you out a tweet, and I said, Andrew, I says, hot goalies win cups. And that's what you had. The hottest goalie in the planet with Price. You beat Vegas. No one gave you a shot here against Tampa. Game one, a blowout. We had the Montreal last night, plus 182. Was super excited at 1-1. I fell off my office chair when you give up the goal with less than a second to end the second period. So the stage is yours. Take us through the playoffs. Take us through to where you are today, what you expect on the weekend, and just talk about some of the crap that you take from Twitter and social media about the Montreal Canadiens.
That's definitely putting it lightly too, Jeff. It's fun to deal with people, but it's part of the business. It's part of what comes with it. And I guess when you kind of antagonize people and make all kinds of tweets about your team and they don't like them, then you're going to get that. But the thing about the Montreal Canadiens, I think a lot of people, and just this is in general about the playoffs, and you've been following hockey for a long time as well, there's a big difference I try and preach to sports bettors from regular season hockey to playoff hockey. If you took a look at it in I think it was round number 3, I think it was like 17 of the top 20 highest paid players in the league were out. We're not even still in the playoffs. And you look at some of these guys, the teams that are really successful, it's the teams that are built throughout line 1 to line 4, defensive pairing 1 to defensive pairing 3. This is what you have to do to build success in the playoffs. I always say that my recipe for a successful playoff team is physicality, depth of scoring, and goaltending. And when you look at that first series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal was coming in a big slump. They were not performing well in the regular season. They had a really tough ending to the end of their season, but then you have to wonder what was going to change heading into the playoffs. How was their tactic going to change? But when you look at it, the average fan doesn't like low-scoring games. They just don't. They want to see a 5-4 game every night. But the Montreal Canadiens style of play, it fits so well in the playoffs because, first of all, the level of intensity steps up, the defensive awareness steps up, and every single person on that ice, their first job before worrying about scoring is protecting their own end. And I think the Montreal Canadiens, the best thing that they've done this playoffs is their zone exits. A lot of people always talk about zone entries, Jeff. I think zone exits have been the most important thing. The forwards have been staying back and allowing their defensemen a quick, easy target pass. And I was a huge fan of Dominic Ducharme, the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. I actually was doing media work in Halifax when he was the head coach with the Mooseheads when he won the Memorial Cup with them. He's a great coach. He's also won a gold medal at the World Juniors. And the biggest thing that he preached was puck support, not going away from your defensemen when they get the puck, stay close to them. So that was a huge thing for them. But going down 3-1, it was worrisome. As a Montreal fan, I'm thinking to myself, are they going to get the bounces? Are things going to start going their way? But you get home and you start getting a few wins, and it's the Leafs, right? They always choke. Like that's what everybody wanted to say. It's the Leafs. And I have all kinds of friends and coworkers, of course, as well, that are Maple Leaf fans. But when it comes down to it, I just don't think the Maple Leafs have it throughout their full core. I feel like they have 2 players that are paid $10 million a year that scored 1 goal. And unfortunately, that just can't happen. And from a betting standpoint, a betting market standpoint, what I love so much about the Montreal Canadiens is that we do a prop segment on our show, and Montreal, as far as goal scoring props go, it's very hard to bet because you have no idea who's going to score every night. You don't. It could be Armia, it could be Perry, it could be Suzuki, it could be anybody. And that's what I think really is the best part about that team. Then you roll in after a really exciting, 3 straight games where Toronto had the opportunity to close out the Habs, and they get it done in overtime a few times. Then you go into the Jets, and the whole Mark Scheifele thing happens. Just an absolutely horrific hit. Jake Evans has to keep his head up. You have to know that there's going to be someone coming. I also wish that his teammates would have yelled a little bit to let him know, but I guess we can never really know if that was the case. I have to say this, though. Most players would have just gone to the corner. They would have just killed the time. They were going to win the hockey game. They would have gone to the corner, pinned themselves up against the boards, and called it a day at the office. Jake Evans is a hardworking player. He went right to the net and tried to score that, and he got rocked. But I feel like the team rallied around him. The depth pieces stepped in. But I'll tell you, I was shocked, Jeff, to see them go 4 straight. It just seemed like Carey Price was red hot. The defensemen were playing great. And I think right now it's 23 straight wins in the playoffs for Carey Price when his team gives him at least 3 goals. That is an unbelievable stat. He is outstanding in the playoffs. Then the Vegas Golden Knights series. Again, to nobody's surprise, everybody counted them out again. I believe they have been underdogs in all but 2 of their games this playoffs. And when it came down to it, again, it was almost the same thing that we saw against the Toronto Maple Leafs, at least in my eyes. We saw Mark Stone get skunked, for a lack of better words. Marchessault didn't really have his best. Pacioretty, former Montreal Canadien. How ironic is that? Former captain of the team actually loses to them, in the conference finals there. So, and then, I got to get your take on this as well. I wasn't really a fan of the goalie blender. I always say that you have to have your go-to guy. During the regular season, it's outstanding to have 2 great goaltenders. But Marc-Andre Fleury makes that mistake in Montreal. And to me, you go to Leonard the next game and Leonard wins for you. You have to ride the hot hand. I mean, I understand that they were saying you have to be loyal to the guy that got you there, but it's too confusing to, bench someone that made a mistake, then you start somebody else, they get the win, and then you bench them after the win and go back to the guy that lost you the game. That seemed a little bit too confusing to me. Momentum was a huge thing in that series. The young guys played really well, Suzuki and Caulfield. And I just think Montreal was truly the better team. They played really locked down defense. They protected their own end. They clogged things up in the middle. And lots of credit has to go to Shea Weber and Ben Sherratt and Joel Edmondson, besides that mistake he made last night, because they're doing a great job of keeping the puck out of their own end and letting the forwards do their work.
You talked about the goalies, and the Bruins were in that spot, and Rask was hurt. You could tell he wasn't moving the way he was earlier in the playoffs. He's had back issues in the past. We all know Tuukka can get us to the promised land, but, game 6, game 7, need him at his peak. And he usually, most Boston fans hate him. And it's I'm kind of sour on that because the guy's the all-time leading winning goalie for the Bruins now. He's gotten you in position, and he's given up some tough goals against St. Louis a couple of years ago. The coach went to him. Rask said he's ready. They went to the team. The team wanted Rask. They didn't want to bring the kid in. And Swayman had been great for the Bruins this year. And I just don't know what the final say was there to say, all right, do we ride Rask, or if we put the kid in and he takes us to game 6 and 7, eventually beat the Islanders, then Rask is gone. And, we got to wash our hands clean. So it's a tough spot. So I was surprised definitely with what Vegas did there. I mean, they just pulled the plug and they brought Lehner in. And now, you look, you're in the cup. Okay. So I was talking with Dave Sharapan on Tuesday night. We were at the Fenway Park. I pulled up the circa numbers, and the circa numbers it was like sirens. It was a gentleman's sweep. It was 5.5 games, minus 130. Okay. So Circa's got Montreal winning 1 game here. Okay. You talked about being underdogs. And I'm going to pull it up right now here, and we will tell you right now as we speak. Come on. Tampa opened up 131, now currently 133. You can grab yourself Canadiens plus 113, 115. I think the public will keep riding Tampa. They love a favorite. They love a team that wins the first two at home. Talk to us about the weekend, what you're expecting, game 3, game 4. Will there be a game 5 back in Tampa?
I think there will be a game 5 back in Tampa. And Jeff, I'm not the kind of guy to always talk about these advanced stats and the Corsi numbers, which is a lot of the new advanced metric stuff that people are using in hockey to break down dangerous scoring opportunities. Because when you look at it, a lot of the times against Vegas, Vegas outshot the Canadiens, or against the Maple Leafs, they'd outshoot the Canadiens. But there's a big difference between dangerous scoring opportunities and actual shots on goal. And I think yesterday, Montreal had a lot of shots on goal. There's no denying it. But they did actually have a lot of dangerous scoring opportunities as well. If you look at some of these simulations that are run, there was a simulation I saw that was run 1,000 times on moneypuck.com, says the Montreal Canadiens win that game 65% of the time. So you have to look at that and give credit to the defenseman and to Andrei Vasilevsky. I mean, how is that team so talented already from the forward position and the defenseman position, and then they have Vasilevsky back there to hold things down for them? He is outstanding. But, I think we saw the exact same thing happen in a lot of these series for the Montreal Canadiens. Look at game 1 against Vegas, where, again, they were doubted big time. The betting markets were doubting them, especially up in Vegas. And you look at this now, I believe that being at home will comfort the Montreal Canadiens. I didn't think that the big limelight moment would get to some of the players, and I don't think it has too much, but I do think that the home ice advantage will help them. And one thing that a lot of people don't talk about enough that I've been really, really big on over the past couple of weeks here, especially in this series, though, is the matchups. The last change when you're at home, right? You get that last change. Your coach gets to make the decision with which players he wants out against whom. And that to me is huge. Getting Philip Deneau out there against Kucherov, getting Gallagher out there against Braden Point. That's going to be huge, because I think in game 1, John Cooper evidently won the coaching battle, and he had his top guys out there against Caulfield and Suzuki, guys that have only been in the league for a few years. And it was really unfortunate that Deneau and Gallagher and those top line shutdown guys weren't able to get on the ice. So I really think, Jeff, that over the next 2 games at the Bell Center in Montreal, having that home ice advantage, not just because of the city or the arena or because of the fans, because of the factors of, putting your stick down last in the faceoff dot, getting the last change, those things are huge. As far as the Montreal Canadiens go, I want them to continue to get away from, the carry the puck in mindset and get back to the dump and chase style you have. And they did that a lot more yesterday. I believe hockey teams are either one of two. You're either a carry the puck in team or you're a dump and chase team. And you can't be both in one game. Because if you can count to 3 if you can count to 3 in an NHL playoff game, you're either going to get smoked or you're turning the puck over. And I think that's what happened to the Canadiens in game 1. So when I look at tomorrow, I'll be on the Montreal Canadiens, and I haven't played them in the full game yet. So just to show everybody, I'm not biased. I actually, you mentioned off the top, being transparent on Twitter. I actually don't play the Canadian sides too often. I play a lot of totals in their games. That's kind of where I look. Yesterday, I was on the first period money line for them, which ended up giving me a push. I will be on the Canadiens for tomorrow. But I wanted to say this for a lot of people out there is that, and I'll get your thoughts, Jeff, if you're looking to bet on the Canadiens, you're going to get a plus price sometimes. Of course, on the 2.5 at the team total. And I don't think they're going to win a game without reaching their team total of 3. So I'll get your thoughts on that. But I think when I look at this, and that's kind of been their recipe for success, as much as part of me deep down wants to say, well, yesterday is a 1-1 game. You take away those 2 turnover goals, and we have ourselves a hockey game. Even that first goal from Tampa Bay wasn't the nicest goal I've ever seen. And I'm not making excuses, but to me, as a fan and someone looking to bet on them, I would rather see those goals that were scored yesterday, Jeff, than highlight reel goals going back to Montreal, because at least all right, they didn't get absolutely schooled. The defenseman dropped the puck behind him. If that's a mistake you make in the preseason, Joel Edmondson can't make that mistake in Adam AAA, let alone, the Stanley Cup Finals. It just can't happen.
Yeah, my mind, we released them plus the 182. I even put a little side note, 3-2 Montreal in overtime. We do know that the history with the Canadiens, basically, if they can get Price 3 goals, they're going to win the game. And
Yep.
I like your thought process with the 2.5 over. I definitely we'll be back on Montreal. I can guarantee you that tomorrow. There is no doubt in my mind. I got all the faith in the world. It'll be interesting to see when I didn't say if, when they win game 3 and are up 2-1, what Vegas throws out for a number for game 4, because again, they're pretty heavy on that gentleman's sweep there. Quick note, I was at the last 2 playoff games, Bruins and Montreal, at the Old Forum.
Outstanding.
So that's how far back I go. We were staying right on St. Catherine Street, and I haven't been to the Bell Center. I have not been there, so we have added that to our bucket list. Take the girls up there to that. I would love to see St. Catherine Street in Montreal again.
It is outstanding. I've been there. I think I've been there twice. And Jeff, I'm actually heading to Montreal this weekend. I'm driving up there from Halifax Sunday morning at 6 a.m. It's about a 9.5 to 10 hour drive, and I'm driving there, and I'm going to be a part of the atmosphere. I was hoping to get some tickets if they were going to change it to 10,000. Unfortunately, we won't get into the politics of it, but they have refused the upgraded number of people allowed in the arena. So instead of having more people in the arena spread out, we'll have 30,000 people shoulder to shoulder outside. And that's all I'll really say about that, Jeff. But I'm really excited. I just, first time my favorite team has made it that far. It's definitely worth the drive. I just booking the place to stay today, and just looking for a great time. And I'm going to be there on my birthday as well. So it's going to be a great time.
Well, we got to wish you an early birthday here from East Coast Sports Investors. We will be watching and make sure that we get plenty of pictures and live video shots with you at the games as well. For all the listeners, all the guys that were following and gals following us, follow them at Wager Talk, follow them at McGinnis Picks, and we'll close here. Sports Mayflower. I saw that on your timeline as well. What is Sports Mayflower?
It's a podcast and media company that I've started with a close friend of mine back home. And we're interviewing athletes all around, media members. And it's hard to start a media company during a pandemic, but we've started off with just interviews, soccer players, lacrosse, hockey. And soon enough, we're going to have footage, coverage, highlights all over. My favorite interview we've done so far is Cabby Richards, who now works for Bleacher Report Betting. He was an icon as far as sports media goes growing up here in Canada. I met him in my first time out in Vegas, and he's working with Kelly Stewart now, or they were working together, and that was a great interview. So it's a media company we're starting, Jeff. I appreciate the mention on it, and just trying to get our name out there. It was very tough starting a media company during a pandemic. We can't really go out there and cover any sports if there's no sports being played, but we're really excited to get going, and we're going to be covering all kinds of sports throughout the next couple of years here.
Andrew, it has been an amazing show. I just blinked my eye, and wow, we're 40 minutes deep, and I can give you applause already. The most live followers in our history of our show so far. So congrats there. You got a great following. Look forward to the weekend. I can't wait. Go Habs, go! I want to see a 6 or 7 game series. I want to see them sweat. I really do, and I think Game 3 will be the momentum that you're going to need to at least make this a series, and for you to be there and to be there on your birthday. I mean, you can't ask for any more than that. So, Andrew, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much for reaching out, having me on your show. It's a blast. I hope we can do this again. And hopefully the next time that we speak, Montreal Canadiens are not down 2-0 in this series. Thanks again, Jeff. It was a blast.
Thank you. All right. Thank everyone here. Tomorrow, another fan of Wager Talk, Mr. Dan Newby. And he said to say hi, by the way. We're going to be talking some Premier Lacrosse tomorrow.
Awesome.
And yes, so he made sure that I said, make sure you tell Andrew that I said hi. So
he's great. I love Dan. He's great.
So again, from ECSI, everyone, always wager responsibly. Don't bet with your heart, bet with your head. And we will see you back here tomorrow at high noon. Have a blessed day, everyone.